Hey everyone, in this video, we'll uncover the most valuable Australian 20-cent coin you should be on the lookout for. We'll break down what makes these Australian 20-cent coins so special, how much they're worth in today's market, and what you need to know to sell them successfully at auction. So let's get started. First up, the 1967 Australian 20-cent coin is a fascinating piece of decimal coinage history. Australia introduced decimal currency in 1966, replacing the old pounds, shillings, and pence system with dollars and cents. The 20-cent coin was one of the new denominations issued, and it quickly became a staple of everyday transactions. By 1967, the second year of decimal coin production, millions of these coins were minted, and they remain popular among collectors today because of their design, their role in the decimal transition, and the fact that older examples in good condition are becoming harder to find. The obverse of the coin features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin. This image of the young queen wearing the girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara became a familiar sight across many Commonwealth nations' coinage. The lettering around the portrait reads Elizabeth II Australia, 1967. On the reverse, the coin displays one of the most beloved designs in Australian currency history, the platypus swimming in water currents, created by Stuart Devlin, the official goldsmith and jeweler to the Queen. The platypus is one of Australia's most iconic and unusual animals, a symbol of the unique wildlife of the continent. The denomination 20 is bold and prominent, with fluid lines suggesting movement in the water. In terms of technical details, the 1967 Australian 20-cent coin is made of copper nickel, weighing 11.31 grams with a diameter of 28.65 millimeters. It is a relatively large coin by modern standards, with a nice heft in the hand. No mint mark was used on these coins, so all examples are identified simply by their date. The mintage for 1967 was quite high, over 83 million coins, meaning that they are not particularly rare in circulated grades. However, like with most coins, condition is everything, and prices can vary significantly depending on how well the coin has been preserved. The coin you are asking about is described as being in fine condition. In numismatic grading terms, fine generally means a coin that has seen noticeable circulation wear but still retains all major details. On a 1967 20-cent coin in fine condition, you would expect to see considerable smoothing on the Queen's hair and facial details, as well as flattening on the platypus and the flowing water lines on the reverse. The rims may be worn down, and the coin will lack the original mint luster, but all the major elements of the design are still visible. Fine condition is a mid-range circulated grade, above heavily worn good or about good coins, but well below very fine, extra fine, or uncirculated. Now let's turn to value in today's market. Because the mintage was so high, and because many of these coins have survived, common circulated examples in fine condition do not carry a large premium. In typical coin shops or online auctions, a 1967 Australian 20-cent coin in fine condition will generally sell for about $1 to $2 Australian dollars, which is roughly in the same range in US currency depending on exchange rates. Collectors who are just starting to build sets of decimal coins often buy these inexpensive examples to fill album slots. Where values begin to increase is in higher grades. Coins in very fine or extremely fine condition with stronger details and less wear can fetch several dollars each. Uncirculated or choice uncirculated examples with full mint luster can bring significantly more, sometimes in the range of $15 to $30 or more, depending on the quality and the buyer. Proof versions from mint sets are also more valuable, as they were produced in much smaller numbers and often have mirror-like fields and sharp strikes. Next up, the 2001 Australian 20-cent coin is a familiar piece of decimal coinage that still shows up in everyday change. But it also has its place in the broader story of Australia's modern currency. The 20-cent denomination was first introduced in 1966, when Australia switched from the old pounds, shillings, and pence system to the decimal system of dollars and cents. By 2001, the 20-cent coin had been circulating for 35 years. And while its basic design had remained the same, millions of examples had passed through the hands of the public. This coin is part of that long-running series and features the same enduring design that collectors and Australians alike recognize immediately. On the obverse of the 2001 issue, we see the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Ian Rank Broadley. This portrait, introduced in 1999, replaced earlier effigies and is notable for its more realistic and mature depiction of the Queen. Around the edge of the coin are the inscriptions: Elizabeth II and Australia 2001. On the reverse, as with all standard 20-cent pieces, the design by Stuart Devlin shows the platypus swimming through flowing water. The platypus is one of Australia's most unique animals, a creature that has come to symbolize the distinctive wildlife of the continent. The bold number 20 sits prominently above the design, making the denomination instantly recognizable. The 2001 20-cent coin was struck in copper-nickel alloy, weighing 11.31 grams and measuring 28.65 millimeters across, consistent with other issues of this denomination. The mintage for 2001 was very high, with tens of millions of coins produced for circulation at both the Royal Australian Mint in Canberra and Contract at other facilities. This high mintage makes the coin common in everyday grades, and as such, it does not generally command significant premiums unless found in outstanding condition, proof format, or with an unusual error. The coin in question here is described as being in good condition with some scratches. In coin grading terms, good means heavily circulated, with major details visible but much of the finer detail worn smooth. On a 2001 20-cent coin in good condition, the Queen's hair and facial features would appear flat, and the platypus on the reverse would have lost much of its definition, with only the main outline and a few interior details showing clearly. Scratches are also mentioned, which further reduce the appeal for collectors, since they are seen as damage in addition to normal wear. So what does this mean for value? Because the 2001 20-cent is a high mintage modern coin, its value in worn circulated grades is usually only face value. In the Australian market, that is 20 cents, and in auctions, most good condition examples with scratches will trade for little more than that. In bulk, lots of circulated decimal coins, such pieces may even sell for less than face value once shipping is considered. For most collectors, coins in good condition from this year are not particularly desirable, because they are easy to find and can be replaced with sharper examples without much expense. Where value begins to appear is in higher grades. Uncirculated 2001 20-cent coins with full luster and minimal marks might bring a few dollars each, perhaps $3 to $5 in auctions, depending on the buyer's interest. Proof coins, struck with polished dies and included in special collector sets, are worth considerably more, usually in the range of $10 to $20 or more, especially if they remain in their original packaging. But a circulated coin in good condition with scratches does not fall into either of those categories. Another important point for collectors of 2001 coins is the special commemorative issues from that year. Australia celebrated the centenary of Federation in 2001, and a number of special commemorative designs were released across different denominations, including 50-cent and $1 coins, as well as state and territory designs. However, the standard 20-cent coin for 2001 did not receive a commemorative reverse. So unless your coin is a proof or an error, it is simply the regular platypus design. In today's auction market, the reality is that a 2001 Australian 20-cent coin in good condition with scratches is generally valued at face value. which is 20 cents or slightly above if sold singly to someone looking to complete a date set. Occasionally, such coins may sell for about 50 cents to $1 if a buyer specifically needs that date and does not want to search through circulation. However, the commonness of the coin keeps its value low. In bulk auctions where rolls or bags of circulated coins are sold, the price per coin usually hovers right around face value. Next up, the 2008 Australian 20-cent coin is a modern decimal issue that many people will still recognize from their change today. It belongs to the long-running 20-cent series that began in 1966 when Australia moved from pounds, shillings, and pence to the decimal dollar system. Over the decades, the 20-cent coin has remained one of the most widely used denominations, and the 2008 release carried on that tradition, keeping the design that has been in place for more than 40 years. While it is not considered rare in ordinary grades, collectors still pay attention to it as part of a complete date run, and its condition plays a big role in determining whether it has more than face value. From a technical standpoint, the 2008 20-cent coin is struck in Copernical, weighing 11.31 grams with a diameter of 28.65 millimeters. Like earlier issues, it has a milled edge and a fairly large size compared to many modern coins, giving it a satisfying heft in the hand. The mintage for 2008 was very high, with tens of millions of examples released into circulation. That makes this a common coin in everyday grades. Though higher quality examples are always more desirable to collectors, the coin in question here is described as being in dirty condition with some scratches. In numismatic terms, that places it squarely in the circulated category. A dirty coin means that the surfaces have accumulated grime, toning, or discoloration from handling and exposure to the environment. Scratches, meanwhile, are considered damage and can lower the value even further. Collectors are usually most interested in coins that retain sharp detail and original luster. So a circulated piece in this state is not something that would attract strong bidding in the marketplace. In terms of grading, a 2008 20-cent coin in dirty condition with scratches would likely fall somewhere between good and fine. The major details of the Queen's portrait and the platypus design would still be visible, but fine lines in the hair or the flowing water around the platypus would be worn flat. The rims might be dulled from circulation, and the coin overall would lack the shine it had when it was new. Such examples are very common, since the coin is still young in numismatic terms and large numbers continue to circulate. So what does that mean for value? In today's auction market, circulated 2008 20-cent coin in dirty condition with scratches is generally worth face value, which is 20 cents in Australia. Occasionally, when sold singly on online platforms, these coins might fetch slightly more, perhaps around 50 cents to $1. A buyer needs that exact year to complete a set and prefers not to search through their change. However, these premiums are modest, and most circulated coins of this year will not rise above their face value. Where higher values appear is in uncirculated or proof examples. Uncirculated 2008 20-cent coins with full mint luster, no scratches, and sharp strike details can sell for several dollars each, sometimes $3 to $5 depending on the demand at the time. Proof coins produced in special sets for collectors can fetch much more, often in the range of $10 to $20 or higher if in pristine condition and housed in original packaging. Error coins from 2008, such as off-center strikes, double strikes, or clipped planchettes, can also carry significant premiums if they are dramatic and visually appealing in the general auction market. Most circulated 2008 20-cent coins are sold in bulk lots rather than individually. Dealers and collectors sometimes sell rolls or bags of circulated 20-cent coins, and in those cases, the price per coin works out to face value or even slightly below once shipping and handling are factored in. Individual dirty or scratched coins rarely attract strong bidding, For sellers, it usually isn't worth listing them singly unless they are bundled with other dates. Next up, the 2004 Australian 20-cent coin is part of the long-running decimal series that has been a fixture of Australian currency since 1966. By the time 2004 arrived, the 20-cent coin had already been in use for nearly 4 decades, and the design had become one of the most recognized and familiar pieces of everyday coinage in the country. While this coin is still modern by collector standards and is not considered particularly rare in circulation, its value depends heavily on the condition in which it has been preserved. The example we are focusing on is described as being in extra fine condition with some scratches, which makes it more appealing than a heavily circulated coin, but still short of the higher values that fully uncirculated or proof coins can bring. On the obverse of the 2004 issue is the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by Ian Rank Broadley. This effigy, introduced to Australian coins in 1999, is notable for its more realistic and detailed depiction of the Queen, unlike earlier portraits that presented a more stylized or idealized image. The Rank Broadley portrait is truer to life, showing the Queen in a natural and mature likeness. Around the portrait are the inscriptions, Elizabeth II and Australia 2004, clearly marking the coin's issuing country and date. The reverse features the enduring design of the platypus, created by Stuart Devlin, the master jeweler and goldsmith who served as the official goldsmith to the Queen. The platypus has been on the 20-cent coin since decimal currency was first introduced and has become one of Australia's most beloved coin designs. The animal is shown gracefully swimming through stylized currents, with the large 20 denomination prominently displayed above. This design has stood the test of time, symbolizing both Australia's unique wildlife and the clean, modern look that defined the country's decimal coinage. From a technical perspective, the 2004 Australian 20-cent coin is composed of copper nickel, with a weight of 11.31 grams and a diameter of 28.65 millimeters. It has a milled edge and a solid, heavy feel compared to many smaller modern coins. The mintage for 2004 was in the tens of millions, ensuring that the coin is still common in circulation today. Because of that large mintage, ordinary circulated examples are easy to find, and only coins in higher grades, proofs or error varieties tend to draw special interest from collectors. The coin described here is in extra fine condition with some scratches. In numismatic grading terms, extra fine means that the coin shows light wear on the highest points of the design, but still retains much of its TS, detail and some traces of its original luster. On a 2004 20-cent coin, you would expect to see some flattening in the Queen's hair and on the finer details of the platypus, but most of the design elements would still be sharp and clear. The rims would remain strong, and the overall appearance would be attractive compared to coins that have been more heavily circulated. However, the mention of scratches means that while the coin retains much of its detail, its eye appeal is reduced. Collectors value surface quality as much as sharpness of detail, so noticeable scratches can lower the market value even for coins in technically higher grades. When it comes to value in today's auction market, an extra fine 2004 20-cent coin with some scratches typically does not bring a large premium. Most circulated examples, even in better grades like extra fine, tend to sell for close to face value, about 20 cents in Australia. If sold singly on online platforms, it might bring slightly more, around 50 cents to $1, particularly if a buyer is trying to complete a date set and wants an example in better than average condition. However, because the mintage is so high and uncirculated examples are readily available, the market for extra fine coins is not especially strong. The real value begins to appear when the coin is in uncirculated condition. Brilliant uncirculated 2004 20-cent coins with full mint luster can bring several dollars each. typically in the range of $3 to $5, depending on demand. Proof coins from 2004, which were struck with special dies and included in collector sets, are much more desirable, usually selling in the $10 to $20 range if they remain in their original packaging. Error coins from 2004, such as double strikes, off-center strikes, or clipped planchettes, can command even higher premiums, sometimes reaching into the tens or even hundreds of dollars if the error is dramatic and visually appealing.